Welcome back. The BJP has held a day-long conclave to celebrate the 9 years of the Modi government. A 240-page document has been released where the BJP has presented its detailed CV on the achievements made in the past 9 years. These range from over 7,500 crore loans distributed under the Startup India to the SC and STs to 80 crore plus which were provided for free food grains, benefiting 11 crore farmers, lower inflation, metro tracks, etc. A long list of achievements by the Bharatiya Janata Party. The Congress has released its list of 9 questions targeting the government over price rise, unemployment and other issues as well. But with 1 year left for the general elections, the questions we need to ask is, does the Congress have just 9 questions or solutions to them as well? What is the BJP planning to do in the 10th year? Who has the better solution? We're going to talk about this with our guest. Joining us on the show at this point in time is Mr. Ashpreet, Congress spokesperson, Rajalakshmi Joshi, political analyst, with us on the program as well. Dr. Sharath Kohli, senior economist, is also joining us on the program. Let's get a report card. Let's also get Dr. Kohli into this conversation. Dr. Kohli, do you think that there has been any fudging of numbers, or do you actually think when it comes to growth, the Bharatiya Janata Party has a robust, a formidable report card to talk about? Let's also talk about the COVID numbers. Ashpreet, they cannot be fudged. We have administered over 2 billion doses and we are doing much better than China when it comes to resisting COVID. Dr. Kohli.
Well, you know, the biggest parameter of growth, Vinny, is the GDP. I mean, it sums up all the economic parameters into one. So we were in 2014. I'm not trying.
Can that be fudged? Can that be fudged?
No, that can't be fudged because that's in the public domain. That's
right.
In the public domain. So you know, as I said, that's the biggest parameter. And I won't say that any government, for that matter, can get 10 out of 10. You cannot get a perfect 10. I mean, even if Congress was there for all these 9 years, I'm sure there would have been, as many shortcomings as my learned Congress spokesperson is talking about. So nobody can score a perfect 10. There's no perfection in this world. There's always a shortage. But we measure the performance by way of the summarized, or I would say the concise parameter which we have, which is the GDP. Now in 2014, as per my records, the GDP was about $1 trillion. And Vineet, a very important point here, from 1947 to 2014, we reached $1 trillion because that was the highest at that time. So imagine from 47 to 2014, $1 trillion. And now we are $3.5 trillion. Even the UN and other international agencies have certified and vouched because that's in the public domain. I mean, I can just go on and on in numbers. I'm not trying to, but I would, Vineet, what I feel is that despite the shortcomings, yes, there is unemployment, yes, there is poverty, yes, farmers are still not the happiest of all the lots. So as much that the government could, but I have a very important point. I don't come from the world of politics. But as a common citizen, I mean, I'm an economist in my own capacity, but as a common citizen, allow me to make a comment that if you criticize for 9 years, all that this government has done from A to Z, anything that BJP has done is subject to criticism. This is wrong, that was incorrect, that was a fallacy, and so on and so forth. So I personally feel that nobody can be wrong at all times, like nobody can be right at all times, nobody can be wrong at all times.
Absolutely.
So when an opposition party made a very important point from an electorate, from being part of an electorate, a very important point is that if you keep criticizing every single thing, every single number, so what happens is you are crying wolf, that that story of bhediya aa gaya, so people stop believing. I think if Congress or opposition has to win votes, now I'm talking of their well-wisher, if they have to win votes, if they have to win the mandate of the electorate, I think the way they have put up questions today, that is the right way. Put up questions on the government and let the government answer. But to do things like boycotting the parliament, to criticize every single thing, I think it sends a wrong message to the people of the country. Because as I said, as a matter of principle, I mean, go down to the lowest level, somebody who's not educated. So when you see that this person, this party has been criticizing every single thing for the last 9 years, so he starts believing, even if he doesn't understand economics, that nobody can be wrong at all times. So there must be something wrong with the person who's constantly criticizing. So my advice to the opposition is, I've got a long list of economic parameters which, my learned Congress spokesperson had spoken. I come from the world of economics. I can tell you that a country's forex reserves today is about $600 billion. I can tell you that the country for the first time is exporting 16,000 worth of defense equipment. I can tell you that, we brought in so many insolvency acts, we brought in Black Money Act today. Making black money in this country is a much tougher task. I won't say that black money has disappeared. But the point I'm trying to make is that the way Congress has put up questions, I think this is the right way, that you question the government. But do not be in an eternally animosity mode, Vineet. That is the point I would like to make. I think there is opposition, the new word for opposition which people are saying is dushman. Opposition, for God's sake, is not a dushman. But now I think they have become dushman of each other. And I think this dushmani is not opposition. This is not giving respect to federal cooperatism. This is not giving respect to democracy. Democracy is about wherever the party. Now I have a very pertinent question, Vineet, before you go to the next speaker, which is that has this government been winning elections at the center in 2019 or in other states for that matter because of a strong government, or has it been winning because of a weak opposition? I think this is the point of thought which they have to ponder upon. So my advice as a citizen is that what is right, call spade a spade. If something is good, that's what I do. I mean, I analyze it from an economics perspective. If I don't like a government, decision which has got negative economic parameters, I would be very open and forthright that this is not correct because the outcome is not. But wherever it's fine, I'll say, yeah, this is a good move. So that is constructive opposition, constructive criticism. So that's my suggestion. I mean, it's up to them. I mean, whatever they want to do is totally up to them.
Absolutely.
But I can just go on and on about economic parameters. Yeah.
Absolutely. Too critical. Ashpreet, you're being too critical. Ashpreet, you're basically looking at the glass half empty. That's how you're looking at it. This is a pessimistic approach. This is not how you can judge any government. You cannot even judge the Bihar government under Lalu Prasad Yadav so badly the way you are judging the Modi government. Dr. Kohli, you want to respond to this, and you concur with me at least that perhaps the Congress party is always looking at the glass half empty, and that is the reason why we see such a discourse, of therefore the lack of it.
Well, Vineet, I would beg your pardon to speak out of turn because I have to leave a bit sooner for some pressing commitment. I think my learned Congress spokesperson, I thought he will probably come up with saying something is right, but even that turned out to be sarcastic. This is the whole point I was trying to make, that when you call spade a spade, when something is, so if something was not right, how did they get re-elected in 2019? I'm not talking of Karnataka, I'm not talking of Jalandhar by-elections, I'm not talking of all that, I'm talking as a common citizen. Now let me step into the shoes of my own as an economist. Now my learned spokesperson needs to understand this is not taking sides. I mean, I criticize the government whenever they go wrong, I must put this on record. But between dollar increasing and rupee falling, as a matter of principle in economics, factually, there are two different phenomena. If a dollar was rising, it was rising against all the currencies around the world, whereas rupee was strong against all the remaining currencies. So dollar was rising because of the Fed interest rate and because of the outflow of capital from various emerging economies. So there is a difference there, which needs to be understood. Well, I agree that government may have, fallen short of commitments in so many places. I'm saying that myself. Well, poverty eradication, there is unemployment. If you go by CMI, the unemployment rate is still 8%. But I think there's something has to be done because it's a very large country. You talk of COVID times. I mean, we talk on relative terms, Vineet. We don't talk on terms of only an absolute country or absolute number.
Absolutely.
Look at inflation in America. Look at inflation in UK. I mean, relatively speaking, we should have had a higher inflation than them. But the thing is, I travel abroad so much. The kind of respect that people of India are getting now when they visit abroad, it's not just Prime Minister Modi, somebody touching feet of Prime Minister Modi, or somebody calling Modi as a boss, or somebody saying that you give me a difficult time because everybody wants to have a ticket dinner with you. It's the common people when they travel out of the country, Vineet. I'm telling you the truth, I travel a lot for work. There is a sea of difference now we see when you are respected as an Indian from being 5 weakest economies in 2014. We are now amongst the top 5 economies in the world. So I think that Congress has to admit, I think my final advice before I sign off, Vineet, is that Congress, if it just remains quiet and just picks up where the government has gone wrong and raises a question, that is good enough for Congress to start winning at the center as well. If it keeps criticizing, it's going to backfire, it's going to boomerang.
Absolutely.
on Congress. I'm talking of pure politics now, stepping out of my shoes of as an economist, Vineet.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. Dr. Kohli, appreciate your time. Raj, well, we've run out of time, but the conclusion is, you have to take the achievements, in a way which definitely reflect growth, and you have to take the criticism with some kind of a pinch of salt as well. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this conversation. We are taking a very short break. We'll be right back with more.